In this video, I'm gonna show you top 5 smartphones that come under the 15,000. But before I start this video, I wanna to share something about these phones that before I make this video, I decided to make a list. In the list, I wrote 4 features of every smartphone and kept them into the numbers. And I will show you everything about that features. On the first number that I kept, that is performance. On second number, that is camera. Third number is battery performance, and fourth number is display. Therefore I keep the display on fourth number because in these smartphones you won't get any type of super AMOLED or AMOLED display. In these all the smartphones you get only LCD panel. Now I'm going to officially start this video from the top number 5. On this number I kept the smartphone that is from Realme, that is Realme 6. If I talk regarding the processor of this smartphone, here we get the MediaTek Helio G90 processor. My opinion about this processor is significantly made for heavy gaming, and this processor will handle everything in your phone if you do heavy tasks. Let's talk about the camera of Realme 6. In this smartphone we get quad setup at the rear side. Main camera is 64 megapixel, ultra wide is 8 megapixel, macro and depth cameras are the 2 megapixel. The main camera 64 megapixel that comes with Samsung GW1 sensor. Moving to the front side of this smartphone, at the front side we get the 16 megapixel camera with the price rate of 14,999. If I talk about the battery performance of Realme 6, in this smartphone we get the 4300 mAh battery with this 30-watt charger. This is the super fast charger that we get with this smartphone. If I talk about the last thing of Realme 6, that is display. But before I start this video, I told you before that in these all of the smartphones you are gonna get the only LCD FHD plus display. We get the FHD plus LCD display. The price of this smartphone is 14,999. The variant is 6GB RAM, 64GB storage that covers under the 14,999. Talking about the next phone, that is comes from the Redmi Note 9 Pro. If I talk regarding the processor of this smartphone, that is Snapdragon 720G. This is a good and powerful processor for your smartphone. This is the battery efficient processor, and this processor will give you a good performance in the gaming. Moving to the camera side of Redmi Note 9 Pro, at the rear side we get the quad setup. Main camera is 48 megapixel, ultra wide is 8 megapixel, macro is the 5 megapixel, and the depth is the 2 megapixel camera. Talking about the front side of Redmi Note 9 Pro, here we get the 16 megapixel camera like we got in the Realme 6. If I talk about the sensor of Redmi Note 9 Pro, Redmi didn't show us which sensor did they use in this device, but by my opinion we get here Samsung GW1 sensor. The battery performance of this phone, they added the 5020 mAh battery, that is a big and long time battery from the Redmi, but with this battery we get here 18-watt super fast charger. So this is the big battery and good charger from the Redmi. If I talk about the last thing of this smartphone, that it's display. So here we again get the FHD plus display. In the end of the discussion of this phone, let me show some good or bad things about this phone. Start from the good things. This phone covers under the 13,999, but with this price rate you will get only 4GB RAM, 64GB storage. But the bad thing about this smartphone, that under 15,000 you won't get 6GB RAM, 64GB storage device. But if you wanna to get 6GB RAM, 128GB storage device, you will have to pay 16,999 rupees. Going to the another device that I kept on the number third, that comes from the Poco. The full name of this smartphone is Poco M2 Pro. Start from its processor. In this device we get here Snapdragon 720G processor. So already we got this processor in the Redmi Note 9 Pro. I told you before about it when I was talking about the Redmi Note 9 Pro phone. Talking about the camera of Poco M2 Pro, at the rear side we get here 4 camera. Main camera is 48 megapixel, ultra wide is 8 megapixel, and macro is the 5 megapixel, depth is the 2 megapixel. Moving to the front side of Poco M2 Pro, we get here 16 megapixel camera like we got in the two previous phone. In the price rate of 15,000 we get this type of camera features. The battery performance of the Poco M2 Pro, they gave us 5000 mAh battery with the charger of 33 watt. Yeah, I will have to say that this is the big battery and getting the super fast charger from the Poco. The final thing of the Poco M2 Pro, that is its display. We get here FHD plus display again, but if I talk about the price of the Poco M2 Pro, that is 14,999 with the 6GB RAM and 64GB storage. Let's go to the number second. This phone is coming from the Realme. The name of this smartphone is Realme 6i. On the number 5 I told about the Realme 6, but this is the second version of Realme 6. Let's start from its performance, that we get the same processor that we got in the Realme 6. That is MediaTek Helio G90T. So I already covered all the things about this processor, how this processor is good for gaming, when I was talking about the performance of Realme 6. And the camera of the Realme 6i, at the rear side we get the 48 megapixel main camera, ultra wide is 8 megapixel, macro and depth cameras are the 22 megapixel. If I talk about the front camera, we get 16 megapixel camera. Realme 6i and 6, they are little bit vary because some difference comes in this smartphone, that are their camera setup. In the Realme 6i we get the 48 megapixel main camera, but in the Realme 6 we get the 64 megapixel main camera, and the all things of this phone are the same. If I talk about the battery performance, again we get here 4300 mAh battery with the charger of 30 watt. The lots of the feature in this smartphone that are related to each other, but talking about the end thing of this smartphone, that is its display. We get here the FHD plus display like we got in the Realme 6. So therefore I kept this smartphone on the number second because of its price rate. Realme 6i covers under the 14,000, but Realme 6 covers under the 15,000, which is the thing that increases the price rate of Realme 6. So let me clear this. Realme 6i has the main camera 48 megapixel and Realme 6 has the 64 megapixel camera. This is the little bit difference in the both phones. So going to the last smartphone that I kept on the number 1, that is from Realme 7. This is the best smartphone than I covered before phones. And start from its processor, we get here MediaTek Helio G95. And this processor collides with the Helio G90T. By my opinion, Helio G95 is better than the Helio G90T, and you may get an idea how much performance this processor can give you. And next about its camera, we get here quad setup at the rear side. Main camera is 64 megapixel, ultra wide is 8 megapixel, macro and depth camera are the 22 megapixel. The 64 megapixel main camera comes with the Sony IMX682 sensor. At the front we get 16 megapixel camera with Sony IMX471 sensor. These are all the specification of both side camera. If I talk about the battery performance of the Realme 7, we get here 5000 mAh battery with charger of 30 watt super fast charger. Yeah, I will have to say that this is a good battery mAh from Realme, and also get the 30 watt super fast charger. If I talk about the last thing of this phone, that it display, we get here FHD plus display with the refresh rate of 90 Hz, and the price rate of this smartphone is 14,999 and also covers under the 15,000. And these were the all smartphones that I covered in this video. It's up to you which one you got to get, and this was from me. I would like to catch you in the next video.